General Patton famously said, "The object of war is not to die for your country. The object of war is to make the other bastard die for his country." We can use this as a metaphor to talk about persuasion. The object of persuasion is not to flex your ego on the other person and get them to move in the direction of what you want. The object of persuasion is to covertly induce the other person to flex their ego in the direction of where you want them to go. So the decision to do what you want them to do is their decision. Way back in the days of hunter-gatherers, we lived in a very, very different environment than the one we live in today. And this is where our communication instincts evolved. We always had to solve problems together. We had to collectively figure out solutions to problems. And the problems were very, very simple. There's an animal, we're hungry, how do we best kill it and eat it? Everybody had the same basic idea, it was just a matter of strategy. There's a bunch of scary animals that want to eat us. How can we best escape? It was a very, very simple problem with a simple solution, but the discussion was a matter of strategy. How do we best move our fire from here over there without the fire going out? A very simple mechanical problem and a very simple mechanical solution, but the only difference was the specific strategy. And we did this with people we had known our entire lives. We had known them since we were kids. We would be with them until we were old and dead. We had a massive level of rapport with the people we had these conversations with. We had a massive, deep level of rapport, far more powerful than any kind of rapport than anybody experiences today. And under this context, we developed this idea contest strategy. My idea to solve our common problem is better than everybody else's idea to solve this common problem. And whoever could present their idea as being the best idea would get continuous status, recognition, admiration, and rock star treatment. Because if you were the person that could continuously solve problems, that would help other people, people would give you a lot of genuine admiration, respect, and rock star treatment. So that evolved to be the holy grail of human communication. To flex our ideas in a way that convinces everybody else that my ideas are so fantastic that they are better suited to help everybody than everybody else's ideas. And that's the prime directive of human communication. But there's a little bit of a twist. There's an anthropologist named Robert Trivers who had a theory about why our brains got so big so quickly. Because to have high status in an ancient tribe of hunter-gatherers, you had to have a very, very brain-intensive set of skills. And that set of skills, according to Trivers, was that we had to deceive ourselves in order to better deceive other people. Now, what was this self-deception? The Holy Grail was to get high status. Just like any mammal, any lower mammal, even chickens have these pecking contests because they have a hierarchical status. And in most animals that live in a hierarchy, whoever gets to the top of the hierarchy, they get to have sex and reproduce. The other people don't. And so it's a contest to see who can get hierarchical status. So the real reason we develop this prime directive instinct to flex our ideas is so we can get more status compared to the people we are flexing our ideas on. But if that's obvious to everybody, it won't work. If it's obvious to everybody that we just want high status, that's why we're flexing our ideas, nobody will listen to us. So we have to deceive ourselves into believing we're genuinely trying to help other people. My ideas to help other people are better than your ideas to help other people. But because I want to help other people, we should use my ideas because I want to help the tribe out. That's what we convince ourselves of. But according to Trivers and a lot of other anthropologists, a lot of other evolutionary psychologists, the real reason we love to flex our ideas is so we can get status. This is the idea behind all modern conspicuous consumption. We don't buy Louis Vuitton bags. Well, some people buy Louis Vuitton bags, not because they're high quality bags, but because they flex our status. We don't buy super expensive cars because they're better at going from point A to point B. We buy very expensive cars to flex our status, but we don't really believe we're doing that. We convince ourselves we're doing it for other reasons. There's a fantastic book called Elephant in the Brain that explains all the inefficiencies in society are due to this kind of dichotomy. We think we're doing things for one reason, but we're really doing them for another reason. And this other reason is to flex our status. Everything we do, every conversation we have is to subconsciously flex our status in some way, to flex our hierarchical dominance in some way. So if you can understand this, if you can understand this and leverage this in other people, you can become incredibly persuasive. And this is why we go back to that statement that the object of persuasion is not to flex your ideas about why other people should do things. It's to covertly, conversationally induce them to flex their ideas about why they should do what you want them to do. And this is very, very easy. Turn off your ego. The ego is the killer of deals. The ego is the deal killer. The ego is the persuasion killer. The ego makes persuasion very, very difficult. That's why high pressure sales is such a low probability endeavor, because you're flexing your ego, and all that does is induce the other person to flex their ego right back at you. But when you can turn off your ego, when you can relax your ego, when you can outframe your ego, and keep your eyes on the prize and induce the other person to flex their ego in the direction of where you want them to go, then you can persuade anybody very easily to do anything. You first ask them what they want. What do you want? How do you know when you'll get it? What are the benefits of getting what you want? How do you know that's what you want? Getting what you want is going to take time and effort. How do you know that's the best use of your time? If you say this within a frame of I'm secretly trying to persuade you, it's not going to work. So you have to genuinely and legitimately and honestly with yourself and with him, put yourself in a subordinate frame and start the conversation like this. Look, I want to sell you something, but I only want to sell you something if there's a mutual benefit. I'm not sure if I can help you or not. So let me just ask you a few questions. What is it that you want? How do you know that's what you want? Why do you want that? And that will get them to tell you to flex their ideas, to flex their ego, to flex their status in the direction of what they want. And so long as you actually have something that satisfies what they want, so long as you have a product or a service that satisfies what you want, you will induce them to flex in the direction of your product or service. And they will subconsciously associate that fantastic feeling of flexing their ego with your product or service. Again, this is the whole idea behind conspicuous consumption. We associate the product with the flexing of our ego. And if you can convince somebody that your product will help them flex their status, you can sell a ton of it to a ton of people. Now, I don't know if this is important to you. I don't know if this is something that you'd like to be able to do. I don't know if you'd like to be able to make a lot of money in sales by using this persuasion model. But if you're interested, you can check out the links below to find out more. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.